Yo! What's up? Yo! I was gonna wait a little bit, right? I was gonna wait till my stream stop lagging, bro. I'm lagging, dude. Of course. It's always with like AT&T or something, bro. My shit just be lagging. But it's probably gonna fix itself soon, maybe. Hopefully. Look, bro. It's telling me real quick the bit rate. You know what I'm saying? So, like, damn. What's up, Gabby, bro? What's up? What's up? What's up? How you been? Alright. So, Elden Ring's trailer had came out, like, I want to say a few days ago, right? Yeah, Gabby, how you been? How you been? What you been up to? What you been up to this past week? You been playing Fortnite or Marvel Rivals? You been playing Marvel Rivals? Let me get this music back. The theme music's okay. You have. Who you maining? Who you main as? I might even play that. Maybe. I saw they had the Human Torch was out. Or the Flaming Torch or the Vaping Torch. Everybody calling them a vape. Might use them. I apologize. I needed to, fix my my OBS or my Streamlabs because, it's like pretty bad. Winter Soldier. Okay. Winter Soldier. I never really tried Winter Soldier as like in a game, but I might whenever I come back, cause I fucking deleted the game, bro. I uninstalled it. It was just ridiculous. It was too much. It was. Yeah, I should have kept playing and stayed offline competitive, but it was just I couldn't do it, man. Like I did my role. My 4 other teammates played their role, and then we lost because of a tank. And I'm like, why the fuck am I going to continue to play this game when one person can make you fold? Like, I like games. You're supposed to be able to clutch. Not saying you can't clutch in Marvel Rivals, but I mean, like, damn. Just because one tank and everybody's like laying down DPS and I'm doing the heals. I out-healed the other team. Yeah, I ain't have, like, no kills or nothing, really. Because I was just too preoccupied doing my role, keeping my team alive. And we still lose? Bro, I'm telling you, like. I heard they had some updates. I don't know if it was, like, any major updates, but we'll see. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm not going to be on this motherfucking game until they make some kind of changes or something. All right. Yeah. If I could find it, I would show you. I would show you what it is that I'm talking about. But I decided to like fill, right? So I had like one game left, and I was like, this is gonna be the last game I play. And it was a competitive match because I was on like a 3 lose streak, right? It was like a 3 or 4 lose streak. And then I said, if I lose this next game, I'm going to do the best I can. And if my team is like on point, I was like, I'll change it up, I'll stay in and keep playing. But nope. As soon as the game started, bro, our team was steamrolling the other team. Our team was steamrolling everybody. Like, we were pushing that cart or whatever the thing is, the chariot, and everything was good. Like, we wasn't stopping at all. It was like the fastest round I've ever had of Marvel Rivals in my entire life. And then whenever we switch sides or whatever, and it's their turn to go, like, we got them trapped in their spawn. We're fucking them up. And then all of a sudden, we lose. And dude, two of the DPSs on our team His with his assists and kills, he had like 50, right? And I think he had like 30 finishes or something. And then the other dude on our team had like 20 finishes, you know. And I'm like, bro, how did we lose? I was like, dude. And then I genuinely asked. I like typed it in game chat, and I was like, how did we lose? Like, honestly, like genuine question. How did we lose? Because I'm still brand new at the game. I probably got like 7 or 3 hours into the game. We and then they were just like the tank. The tank made us lose. I'm like, bro, one person can throw the whole game. Like we went through the entire game. Like we had first go. We went through the entire game, steamrolling everybody. And you mean to tell me whenever it's their turn, we got them trapped in the spawn. We got them. We got them like dead to rights. We got them, and then we lose. Like, bro, one person not doing what they supposed to do, and you lose. And we got 6 teammates. You mean to tell me 5 teammates is not enough, bro? Like, no, I can't, bro. Can't do it. Can't do it. I cannot do it. You got 6 teammates and 5 cannot carry one fuck up? No, bro. No, absolutely not. Enough of that. Yeah. I don't understand how it's possible though, because the same thing happens to me all the time. Yeah, man, it's like, it's not a rare thing. And that's why I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I don't want a shitty game mechanic to be common. Like, it can't be the regular. And I feel like it's just really a way to get people addicted, right? Like, they get so pissed off at the game, they're like, I gotta play again, I gotta play again, I gotta play again. Whenever, you know, and then that was probably like one of the best games I've ever done as a fill, because I was like, you know what? There are probably going to be a lot better DPSs on here than I am, so I might as well play like strategist or something, or like a support, a healer, something like that. Even whenever you sacrifice your own fun for the win, you know, rather than like, oh, I want to play this character. No, you can't play that character because other people want to play their characters. Like, they gonna insta lock them in, right? And you're like, all right, that's cool. I'll just pick the safest role that I know that can benefit the team and do my best. And I did all of that. Did my best. Did better than their healers on the other team, and we still lose. And I'm like, bro, this is it. Like, I'm uninstalling this game. I'm uninstalling this fucking shit game. So I don't know. I just needed to uninstall it, because I was like, I'm not about to get addicted and be on this game for days at a time and weeks. So next time, whenever I get on it, I'm gonna probably stream it and just to see like what it's like again, because they said they had some updates. I don't know how major of the updates are, but I'm gonna try them out later. Oh shit! Could have been Love episode 2 is coming out, bro, today. All right, so okay. We gonna sit back, relax a little bit. Oh, the stream is good. It's about time. Like, we got like some good messages from here. Okay, so we're gonna get into like any news later. I want to see Elden Ring real quick. I want to see some Elden Ring, boy. I want to see some Elden Ring, boy. Oh, it's right there, bro. Elden Ring Night Rain trailer. I didn't watch the Elden Ring Night Rain official pre-order trailer, so we finna get into that. All right. Let's see. Window capture, property. I'll get better at this eventually. You know what I mean? Which one is this? Okay. Let's go. Oops. I'm all over the place. Elden Ring Night Rain. Oh, I got my audio turned all the way. Sorry.
Seekers of redemption, you were chosen.
I know I saw they had a zone earlier. Dude, these dudes were always like some of the most annoying, but the best training I've ever had. Like whenever you went into the sewers in Lindell, I got so much practice. I might just go back in there and practice them out.
Band together and prepare to claim the life of the Night Lord.
I could have sworn I seen this trailer already. There was another one, wasn't it? There was like a different one. Oh, what'd you say? I don't know why some people are comparing Night Rain to Fortnite just because I have like a storm in multiplayer. I don't know why. Elden Ring. Are they? I didn't see nobody. Well, I've been trying to stay away from all the Night Rain news up until today. I could have sworn we had seen this trailer already. You know? Night Rain is so much fun. Bro, how do you have this early of access to the game? Like, that's crazy. Yo, we need to get this community big enough to the point where we can get early access on games like this, because this is insane. Like, if they tell you, like, the game is supposed to come out in, like, 5-6 months, and you got people that are already streaming it early, I mean, that's cool, bro. And I'm a little jealous, because I'm like, damn, I don't want to just keep watching clips of other people playing it, too. I want to at least watch them, and then be able to enjoy it for myself. Where? All right, we'll check this one out. Damn, 2 hours.
We're playing Elden Ring Night Rain, bro.
Network test.
Cocktail, no. And then I shoot my cocktail and... Whoa.
That
is a very interesting system. Okay, this is magic lightning.
Okay, they still have like the charge feature. They're still trying to use charge features.
Yeah, this is easily the most complex character.
Oh, I gotta move.
Raw dog Q.
Sorry.
This is disastrous. Man.
Help.
It is pretty crazy that I did not get to play a single time.
Sincerely apologize. Today it'll end at 11 p.m. as scheduled and proceed with improvement work, considering holding additional tests for today.
Okay.
Appreciate your understanding and cooperation.
I'm sorry.
3 hours of Sag.
My
servers dead.
Sad. Surely the next session will work.
There we go.
Yes, bro, we're logged in. Okay. Outer Ring Network Test Day 2. First day didn't go so hopefully we actually get to play this time. Only solo queue is available, so we're just gonna try to queue at the same time as Parky and everyone else.
Okay, he's fighting a boss.
Yep.
Wait, who's he fighting right here?
My lady's basically useless right now, by the way. I have no mana. And I can't really like use my skill.
Is he flying?
Okay, we're here. Holy. Okay, there's
Let me go back a little bit more.
Hey, okay, this is my first round of Night Rain. Here we go, dude! Recluse, Wilder, and Guardian. Please don't let my
Are those
partner
actual
be
players or
trash.
NPC?
Whoa. Look at him go. Yeah, baby, dude! I can't believe it's working. Oh, at long last. It's time to lock in, yep. We gotta carry some lads. You know, I'm gonna take this headset off, because we're not talking to them anyway. And I can barely hear the game as is. Holy! Do we actually choose a spot?
Damn,
to
the world
drop?
looks
Oh,
so
oh.
huge.
Okay, we're here. Holy. Okay, there's a grace. I can level up, but I can't actually level up. Okay, let's go kill some shit. Okay, I just have a basic staff to start. I have Pebble and what? Arc? Yep. Okay. Look at us go.
I'm not
Open.
the whole mage thing. No, I ain't feeling that, bro. I'm not feeling the whole mage thing. All right, we gonna go to Anna News. I don't want to watch like mage gameplay because that's not really how I be playing. So we're gonna do solo leveling season 2, episode 4. We already saw 3. So probably gonna put the switch to the headset. We finna switch to the headset real quick. All right. Let me see if we got audio. We got audio. Okay. Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 4, Cut Content. Sung Jin Woo's rank re-evaluation. Technically, yeah, he's still an E rank, so I didn't really fuck that up. But this is by Annie News. If you haven't checked out any of their content, I've been making reaction videos on the past, 3 episodes, or the first 3 episodes of season 2. Annie News right here. They always come out and put out content every week, solo leveling related and other anime that I have not seen. But this was like the first time I came across the channel. Had to go ahead and subscribe, and I'm gonna go ahead and like because I know I'm gonna forget. So
it's good to see the fan service goes both ways in solo leveling. We're still going through the story pretty fast though, so for a dialogue-heavy episode such as this, I'm sure you can already imagine all the little interactions that were left out. Minor things like Chairman Go's desire for a successor, all the way to the introduction of Korea's former strongest guild known as the Reapers. Sung's reevaluation was definitely the focal point, but amongst that was a lot of lore behind hunters, guilds, and the relationship between them. So if you want to see that and everything else the anime left out,
when is GTA 6 coming out? Bro, sometime this year. It's definitely going to probably be like November or fall. So if you already got a PS5, so you're good.
Here's all the differences between that, the manhwa, and the novel. But first, this video is sponsored by Enigma of Sepia, an upcoming brand.
I ain't gonna snipe this ad.
RPG featuring lots of waifus, amazing art, and very
I ain't gonna snipe the
fantastic
ad.
animations. It just moved into its pre-registration phase, so if you want to sign up before the official launch on February 14th, then feel free to do so using the link down in the description. As for what Enigma of Sepia provides, Well, it takes that standard mobile gacha game format and fills it with some very beautiful characters and settings in both 2D and 3D. In
Yep.
game, you'll have these sleek battle animations unique to each of the characters you unlock, then Cinematic Ultimates I think you'd find pretty entertaining. You'll adventure through quests with each of them.
They
gain
just got
resources
straight
to
up,
level
like,
them up, then earn
busty
rewards
women
to
on
unlock
here.
Even more waifus. The farther you get,
Waifus.
the tougher the challenge, and the more you'll get to experience what it is Enigma of Sepia has to offer. Although not fully revealed yet, there's at least a mini roguelite for never-ending battles, a PvP mode to climb the leaderboard, a spot
They got a
to showcase
Goku
your
version?
collection, lots of mini-games to earn
What
even
the-
more rewards, then so much more in terms of the main quest and boss rushes. There was so much that I couldn't even get through all of it myself. So, if this looks interesting and you want to maximize your rewards at launch, feel free to pre-register for Enigma of Sepia using my link down in the description.
Link in the
With the
description
game
below.
launching on both iOS and Android,
If you're into the
you can
like mobile
pre-register on
games,
both
I'm not a
together
mobile
before
game
the
player,
game comes out.
but
You'll also be entered for a chance to win a grand prize like an iPhone or iPad. But now,
It could be
let's
for
get
you.
back to the video. Episode 16, I Need to Stop Faking, covering chapters 61 to 66 from the manhwa and chapters 75 to 82 from the novel. With Sung having just defeated Metis, he was now sitting pretty at level 77, on his way to floor 76 and farming demons worth 1700 XP apiece now. That was the minimum reward for demons he came across now, since a new superior type was becoming more and more frequent. They were demons Sung estimated to be as strong as Vulcan, formidable opponents that made
Damn!
fighting incredibly difficult.
wait, all the ads that it was coming across were the same as Vulcan?
Estimated to be as strong as Vulcan. Superior type was becoming more and more frequent. They were demons Sung estimated to be as strong as Vulcan, formidable opponents that made proceeding incredibly difficult. What caused him to truly become hard-stuck, though, wasn't the lack of food or the tough enemies around every corner, but rather the increasingly difficult terrain that made traversal near impossible. Last episode I mentioned how the higher the floor, the more destroyed the environment. Well, here in the 70s, everything was just a fiery hellscape. It was so hot that by
Imagine like trying to just walk in, bro, and it's just like it's hot. Like, why is it so hot? You literally just walked into hell.
floor 76, Sung would lose stamina just by standing still.
See? Damn.
Fatigue bar went up for every little movement now. This was no way to fight high-level demons, and it certainly wasn't the optimal way to clear the tower. So, in order to progress any further, Sung knew he needed to leave and come back with artifacts, defensive items which would make these terrain effects negligible. This brings us to the real reason behind why he wants to get reassessed, because where in the anime it's shown to be out of a desire to continue leveling, in the novel and manhwa it's simply because
Like
he
Batman.
needs these artifacts. He can't purchase or sell them without raising suspicion as an E rank, and that in turn means he can't clear the dungeon.
So why is he not using the items that he's getting from the system? Wouldn't those items be a lot better for him to use? Or are the drops, I don't know, man. Or he's got like better items in the real world, bro. I don't know. I'm so confused. Like, he's got two stores. He's got a store in the system and the store in the real world. But I would just assume that the store in the system is way better. Unless he's got all the best shit that he can get from the system. And now he wants to get all the best stuff that he can get from the real world. Real world. Because I always assume that this is the hardest dungeon in all of solo leveling that we have come across this far. You know what I mean? It's like all the other guilds in the real world, they don't even know anything about this at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of this is like SS rank. And they probably, you know, they just got regular ass S rank dungeons that just pop up. And he's just on SS times 3.
That then prevents the elixir of life from being crafted, and that in turn makes it so his mom can't be saved. All this stems from him still being an E rank, so if he wanted to achieve any of it, he first needed to get reevaluated. Such was the conclusion Sung had come to here. Now, there was a small difference in the way
Okay, collect demon souls. When the demon castle is swarming with demons, you will receive a special award for defeating the demons and collecting their souls. Quest requirements: collect 10,000 demon souls. Okay,
Sung's
we
quest
remember that.
reward was revealed since we're in the anime, Sung knows he's working towards the elixir of life from the beginning. In the novel and manhwa, the recipe is only given to him after the quest is done. It's the undisclosed reward we saw last episode, the part of the blessed random box signifying his desire. I had totally forgot about this myself, but you gotta remember this whole dungeon was from a box telling him it'd give him what he desired. That just so happened to be the elixir of life, so as I'm sure you can guess, Sung's deepest desire is him wanting to bring his mom back. What then will the cursed box give? Well, I guess that's for the system to decide.
His deepest desire, and for the curse, his darkest hatred. What would that be? Cursed random loot box. It's an item they need. Maybe it's something. See, I've not read the manhwa, so I'm gonna guess like this curse box is probably a way for him to maybe travel to an area where he can get the strongest summon. But it comes at a cost. I don't know.
Whatever it thinks he needs is what he'll get. This was actually the reward he chose instead of a shop item because Sung figured he could always just get items from the dungeon. Plus, with the shop constantly updating with better items every day, there was a good chance he'd just end up selling whatever shop item he chose. Instead, he figured it was best to gamble on something with a bit more longevity. His final reward was the plus 20 in stats, and all that went into intelligence. It brought his status to this now. Enough to make him feel confident against just about anyone, so that was part of why hiding his powers weren't a necessity anymore. The only thing he needed to confirm before his reevaluation was whether Jinho was able to succeed or not. So, one quick phone call revealed negotiations went well, and that was all Sung needed to hear before heading to the association. It was at the assessment office that Sung would be looked down as a delusional E rank because time and time again, an upset low rank would come in looking for a second chance. The chief believed this to be just another of those cases, so he urged the clerk to push Sung forward as fast as possible. To him, low-rank hunters like this were people you just couldn't reason with. No, it was far easier to just have them pay the fee and face reality themselves.
Oops.
This particular
My
case
bad.
had caught the chief's attention, though, because some
go
rank
back.
hunters like this were people you just couldn't reason with. No, it was far easier to just have them pay the fee and face reality themselves. This particular case had caught the chief's attention, though, because something about Sung's name seemed familiar. That's when he remembered Beck specifically asked to be notified if he ever showed up, leading to an immediate phone call straight to his office. Beck would then request to know Sung's rank as soon as it was taken, resulting in the chief having to witness the reevaluation himself. He personally didn't think anything of it, though, because when a similar scenario happened about 3 months ago, that turned out to be a big fat nothing burger. It was a false alarm just like most of the other reawakenings.
And that's why I don't understand, like, okay. I think this, like, whenever he got that reading, when he got a little minor reevaluation right there, that's because he had just gotten out of the dungeon, right? He was at 0. Like, his solo leveling had just begun. So, of course, he was reading nothing. Because he hadn't worked for anything, right?
The only reason the chief decided to check up on this one then was mainly to humor Beck and the relationship he had with him.
Okay.
I mean, it was after all quite profitable to be a guild informant. Now, it was during the time that Sung was waiting that the anxiety of the people around him would make him nostalgic. He couldn't help but smile as he remembered the way his own mind raced during this process. He had first imagined all the possibilities with his own rank, then extended that curiosity to the ranks of the people around him. Such was the natural mindset for those getting evaluated, and it was being exemplified again by the people around him. The only difference between now and 5 years ago was the presence of a whole bunch of recruiters. These weren't the recruiters you'd find from the Hunter or White Tiger Guild, though, but rather a more parasitic bunch working for the small to mid-level guilds. They were a more desperate type seeking just about anyone. Why, might you ask, would that be? Well, because smaller guilds don't get a lot of applicants, it was only natural that they take the initiative themselves. The big guilds typically weren't very interested in low-rank recruits, so that left a whole bunch of hunters fresh for the picking right out of evaluation.
And that sucks too. It's just like coming into being recruited by other schools, you know what I'm saying? Like for colleges and the NFL, they're not looking at the whole field of players that are there. They're only there to look at some specific people that they know, and they got a clipboard and a list. Is like, we ain't worried about all these other small fry. We're looking at like the best candidates, these D1 athletes that are on here. Fuck everybody else, unfortunately. So it's like, if you ain't got nothing going for you, you ain't gonna stand out. Just the way shit is.
Now, the reason I call them parasitic is because recruiters like these feed off the fact a lot of these low-level hunters are desperate. They know they can easily sway them with an attractive offer, but what they conveniently leave behind is that they're recruiting them for certain death. What I mean is that with every small guild wanting to become bigger, they'll often try to clear gates stronger than they can handle. That in turn leads to lots of accidents, and that translates into a high mortality rate. So, with a high mortality rate leading to lots of vacancies, recruiting new hunters became doubly important for these guilds. It's the core reason behind why their recruiters are always present here. Time would then pass as multiple hunters went in and out, and for each that exited with a dejected look, every recruiter would avoid them like the plague. It seems as desperate as they were, none wanted anything to do with E-ranks. This is why rank is so important, because not only was it the determination of how powerful you were, it also clearly defined how much money you could make.
Yup.
The C rank was the level at which good money could start to be made, because that's the threshold where options started to open up for you. You could either make money by acting
Like right now, bro, I'm like a E rank streamer. Unfortunately, right?
as a freelancer or join a guild and be in a more secure position. Either way, the salary of a C rank
But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the small stuff.
ranker was typically equivalent to that of a doctor or lawyer, plus the massive signing bonus they got if they joined a guild. So, this was the rank the nervous guy was hoping for, while the confident one actually came out with an E rank. This led the nervous guy to let Sung go first, bringing us to the whole evaluation process. It's here that once again Sung would be looked down on as a delusional E rank, but since the money was paid, the tester would proceed with the evaluation anyway.
Dude, like, I just can't stop thinking about that. In terms of real life, solo leveling, okay? Streaming. Nah, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. But let's be real. Let's be real, dog. I am not a C rank. I'm not a C rank streamer, okay? If I was a C rank streamer, I would at least be pulling, like, double digits, okay? And so if we're looking at it, right? E rank is going to be, like, 10 viewers and below. D rank, like, somewhere between 99, right? And then C rank streamer, you're pulling hundreds. Okay? And then B rank 1,000. And then A rank but like below 10,000. And then you got the Kai Sinats, the XQCs, the Black Boy Maxes, Rages, Duke, like AMP, bro, like them. The ones that rack in 10K more or more. Those are like S rank streamers right there. Like for real. Them S rank. So currently, yeah, I'm sitting at E. Okay? I think there was only one time. There's only one time I pulled like, wait, you know what? You might be onto something here. You might be on something here, Gabby. Though there's one time I had pulled 33. I think I pulled like 35 people in one stream at one point. Like 30 something people. That would have put me at D. You know what I'm saying?
The chief would then enter right as the machine was bugging out, confirming the first S rank since Cha's evaluation 2 years ago. It's here he would then explain how the S rank isn't an actual ranking, but rather a special grouping for those who can't be measured. So, there's no actual indication for how strong the S rank hunters are in comparison to each other, because the levels at which they're measured aren't—
I forgot to mention Aiden Ross. My bad.
The only way to know
And
for
speed.
sure is for them
I show speed.
Now, It was while all this was going on that Choi would be with Wu, discussing both the Redgate incident and the ant mutations. He was basically asking if Huang Dongsu was the mystery person, then wanted to know how the investigation of the ant in Japan was going. The former was denied since Wu was there personally, then if the latter did in fact prove ants could fly to other countries, a draft would be instated forcing hunters to fight against them. It didn't matter what guild they were from, every hunter deemed necessary would be ordered to fight them. It was a mandatory enlistment Choi had no problem getting behind. Shortly after, Choi would hear all the commotion, not because the building was close, but rather because he had a special sensitivity for these types of things. In fact, despite Wu not being able to hear a thing, Choi could hear everything clear as day. He knew pretty much instantly that an S rank had been evaluated. It was back in the lobby that every recruiter would be too stunned to move, since this was a level they'd never dealt with before. Like, if he was ranked C, then they would have just formed a line to talk to him. If he was ranked B, then everyone would be yelling attractive offers and guaranteeing him high-ranking spots right from the get-go. It was a chaotic method that actually worked more times than you might think, mainly because many people preferred to be the snake over the tail of the dragon. That chaos then settled down if the hunter was an A rank, because the A rank was where the large guilds got involved. Special privileges were given which the small and medium guilds couldn't even offer.
Solo leveling, I'm telling you, dude, this could be applied to streamers so good. So good. Look at that.
Things like a guaranteed position in the main strike force and lots of financial rewards to go along with it. There was also always the option to start your own guild, because when you're at the A rank, you're powerful enough to attract other hunters to you. Not so many as to create a large guild, but certainly enough to establish a smaller medium one. So, what happens then when an S rank is unveiled? Well, none of the recruiters would even try and talk to him. That is, unless they tried to act as his agent. Reason being that they knew recruiting him themselves would be impossible, but perhaps if they got into his good books, maybe they could be the one to send Sung on his way to one of the larger guilds. There was quite a bit of money to be made in being an S-rank's agent too. So, the success of that quickly diminished any thoughts of the ridicule of failure, since one was momentary while the other lasted forever. It was right as the recruiters were about to make their move, though, that Choi would walk in, stopping all of that. It was an entrance that Sung was actually very grateful for, since it pretty much removed all the pressure on him instantly.
I don't like him, bro. I still don't like him, bro. And I don't want someone to... If you do know of this guy, you start liking him more, let me know. Does he become a better character? Don't spoil nothing, but just let me know if this dude, like, gets his head out of his ass. Because he's just...
Choi would then be so focused on making the Hunters Guild the strongest in the world that he didn't even consider the possibility of Sung saying no. You see, the moment Sung mentioned how he hadn't chosen a guild yet, Choi had already started imagining his status as a global superpower. That was how much power a guild with 3 S ranks had. In the end, Sung would disregard Choi just like how we saw in the anime.
Dude, I love Jinwoo for that. Because you want to know what? Luffy would have done the exact same thing. I'm telling you, Luffy don't give a fuck about nobody else's status. He wants it for himself. Like, you aren't necessary unless you're going to be under his crew, right? And he's like, in his own world, just moving on.
Beck's timely arrival would indicate he knew about Sung before this, then the random hunter hoping for the C rank would come out revealing he got it. Moving on to the hospital now, Wu's first words to Sung were actually about the double dungeon. He wanted to know if Sung was the one who cleared it. This, I believe, is relatively important because at the end of the whole conversation with Chairman Go after this, Sung finally states that it wasn't him. It was a firm response that kept the mystery of the double dungeon open, something to keep in mind for both the reader and the association. This also confirmed Sung wasn't masquerading as a false ranker, since if he really did have the power he had now, both Go and Wu knew he wouldn't have let his comrades die like that. Wu would then ask Sung to meet the chairman, not as an order or a request to an association employee, but rather as a favor of great importance. It was an ask that clearly meant a lot to Wu, since accompanied with it was a deep bow Sung never would have expected from him. What went to intrigue Sung the most, though, was the fact Korea's strongest hunter was there to see him. Whatever the conversation was gonna be, Sung knew it would be more than just an attempt to recruit a powerful hunter to the association. Combine this with the fact Chairman Go wasn't someone anyone could just simply meet, and that made Sung more curious than you can imagine. To put into context,
Old man
how
Garp.
significant he was, not only was he president of the country's most influential organization, he was also a member of the National Assembly and the country's first S rank on top of that. So, with political and financial giants across the globe begging to talk to him, passing this up wasn't something Sung believed he could afford. At least not yet anyway. It was before the two could meet, though, that there was first a cut scene where Chairman Go was talking to his doctor. It was a scene which not only emphasized Mr. Go's deteriorating health, but also his dire need to find a replacement.
Was that not? They didn't say that in the anime, did they? I don't remember that scene at all.
With the doctor calling it a miracle that he could even walk, the only advice he could give was for Go to take a break. This was unfortunately something he couldn't afford to do because the guilds around him were growing stronger by the day. They were practically as powerful as an entire country's military now. So, with him being the only thing keeping the association on even footing with these guilds, to step aside would mean to let the floodgates open. It would effectively allow the guilds to do whatever they want. There would be no authoritative figure under which they had to fear repercussions anymore. This is why Chairman Go can't retire, since he's essentially the monolith symbolizing health and power for the association. It was then that one phone call would reveal the potential to change that, leading to a meeting where finding a successor was actually the underlying purpose. At first he wasn't planning to do so, but after seeing the determination in the way Sung spoke, Go knew he was someone who could definitely be worthy of leading the association.
That is sick, dude. That is actually fucking insane. Like, unless I wasn't paying attention to the actual episode, or News is actually explaining this very well, you know, or or just wasn't put in there. But the fact that he's looking for a successor and Jinwoo's gonna be the successor, the anime didn't want to lead on to that. That's fucking sick, dude. If he becomes, bro, his aura and his ego, I hope doesn't just like go crazy for that fact of the matter. But dude, I would love to see him be the chairman. That'd be crazy. Not early on, like maybe like season 3, you know, halfway through, he decides they make him the successor. That'd be tight.
He most
That'd be
certainly
tight.
had the power to, so the only thing that remained to be seen was his character. So, as the conversation kicked off with what the association was offering, a good example was used to show the different lifestyle of association hunters. Like, where you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who even knew Wu's name. Had a person like Kim lived and become a member of the main strike force, he would be known as a celebrity everywhere. He would be more famous and make more money, despite very clearly being less powerful than Wu. Why then would Sung want to become a member of the association? Well, the core underlying reason was, as we saw, balance. Sung was well aware magic beasts weren't the only monsters out there, so he fully understood why such a balance was important to maintain. He knew losing it would mean risking control over powerful beings that couldn't be controlled. This wasn't what Sung was thinking about, though, as what he was focused on instead was the successful path only Chairman Go could offer. Any large guild could provide fame and fortune, but only Mr. Go could have you sit at the National Assembly while also granting access to the government, association, and press. It was an incredible amount of influence that only he could provide. Now, the reason Sung's statement here resonated so deeply with Go was because fighting monsters was something he never got to do. By the time he had awakened as Korea's first S rank, he was already too old to fight in the dungeon. This forced him to look for other things to do, resulting in the creation of the Hunter Association. So, Go would use his fame to gather all sorts of hunters.
He never got his time to shine. Oh my god. He became a S rank after the fact. Yo, that is some BS timing, bro. Can you imagine you just laying in bed and then all of a sudden you just awaken at the age of 60 as an S rank? that is the universe just toying with you at that point.
Establish an association built around him, secure a spot within the National Assembly, then help create laws that kept hunters in check. For as much as
Damn.
Chairman Go had accomplished,
I feel
though,
bad for
he
him.
would always regret not being able to fight like how Sung so adamantly wants to. So to hear such passion
For real,
from
man.
someone so powerful, well, his weak heart now pumped faster than ever, despite the doctors saying it was ready to quit at any time.
I got a theory. Jinwoo is going to allow Chairman Go to have that experience. Jinwoo is going to find something, or hear me out. He's going to take the elixir of life. He's going to have to make a decision. He's going to give it to Chairman Go, because Chairman Go is going to need it rather than his mother. And I don't think his mother's going to die, but he'll find another way to save her. If I'm wrong, that's a good predict right there. That's a good predict. Is it not?
Chairman Go now felt as lively as ever. The rest of the conversation went pretty much as we saw, aside from some additional context that needs to be said about Go's drinking comment. There was an interesting saying that was lost in both the manhwa and anime.
Let's hear it.
It was after asking if Wu would join him for a drink that Go would mention how the cup size of a man's drink determined the extent of the world he could take. Add that to this scene here, and Go's fascination with Sung's ability to drink makes a lot more sense. He wanted to see how much of the world's...
That's fire, ain't it? That's fire predict right there.
Interesting bit of nuance, since it ties back to Sung's ability to drink infinitely. It's a clever nod I personally really like towards Sung's character. The novel then proceeds to rearrange some stuff I know we'll be getting next episode, but there was one scene we probably won't be getting for sure. It was the moment the Reapers Guild got news of a new S-rank themselves. The chief got word from his contact at the association, but when he called to find out more about who this new S-rank was, his contact not only informed him he'd just been fired, but also took full accountability for the wrong he'd committed. As it turns out, Chairman Go found out people were leaking information, then took it upon himself to fire those people personally. This was something he'd never done before, so the fact he was doing so now really got the Reaper Guildmaster thinking. He couldn't help but wonder if maybe the chairman had some sort of vendetta against him. I mean, why forbid the leak of Sung's identity now when the same measures weren't taken 2 years ago with Cha? Combine this with the fact Choi and Beck already have this information, and that really made it seem like things were working against him. The chairman had also facilitated Beck's departure from the Reapers Guild, so you could say Mr. Go single-handedly orchestrated the Reaper Guild's downfall. Where it was once the #1 guild in the entire country, it now struggled to keep up with the top 2. I'm gonna quickly switch things over to the scene with Hwang Dong-soo now because...
Yeah, it's ass whooped. Oh my goodness, it is always good to see somebody get a humbling ass whooping.
While it was for the most part the same, there was good reason for the deputy chief asking the question that he did. The reason he wasn't fully convinced Il Hwan was a monster was because clear footage showed him saving people from the destruction. The chief had never heard or seen of monsters doing that, so he genuinely thought maybe Hwang was mistaken. Hwang then countered by asking if he'd ever heard of a human emerging from a gate, providing a fair enough argument for the chief to accept. He would then say nothing on where Il Hwan was going and instead focus solely on getting revenge himself. All he needed was a couple of artifacts, of which his guild had plenty. In fact, if they added up the value of all the artifacts the Scavenger Guild possessed, the total would easily surpass the annual budget of a small nation. So, suffice to say, Hwang was quite confident. This brings us to Sung's own perusal of artifacts, leading to that revelation artifacts were expensive. Like, even with 1.7 billion won saved up, that still wasn't enough to buy anything useful. This made it clear just how difficult it was for a hunter to thrive, since with good items ranging from the millions to billions, there was a good chance a hunter would spend their lifetime unable to purchase any on personal funds alone. So, with money needed now more than ever, Sung knew he would have to wait for his S rank. The thing is, his official reassessment was still 2 days away. There was a moment when Sung believed his refusal to join the association would make that longer, but Go's heartfelt smile was one Sung believed to be genuine. After 4 years of minding hunters and reading their expressions, he got pretty good at knowing exactly how other people really felt about him. Sung still wanted to do something in the meantime, though, so searching the recruitment boards was the only thing he could do. It was as he did that he would notice a lot more opportunities available than ever before. As for why, well, it turns out Sung's monopoly over C-rank gates had left a lot of people jobless.
Look at that dude. He had his fucking hand in his pocket. Diabolical.
Why? Well,
Look
it
at him.
turns out Sung's monopoly over C-rank
Hand in the pocket. You know how disrespected you gotta be? He just got chopped in half. Part of his body is sitting on the 50-yard line, and then the other half is in the stands, and then your body gets to spin in the air, and you just see the man that did it with one hand and then the other one in his pocket. That is the last sight you get to see. Being that disrespected. You thought you could kill somebody. Y'all thought you could jump somebody, only to get your ass whooped, and he had one hand in his pocket. And he probably had one eye closed at the same time. Like, fuck. You gonna be in heaven or hell, wherever you go, thinking like, damn, why did I do that? This nigga had his hand in his pocket. Why did I decide to go? Egos will kill you, bro. Your ego will kill you.
C-rank gates had left a lot of people jobless. He had left freelancers without work for a week, and now it seemed like they were trying to clock in some overtime. C-rank gates had zero value to him now, though, so while it would have been nice to freelance in a B or A-rank gate, you'd never find a makeshift squad trying to do those. If you did, you'd essentially be signing up to die. So that forced Sung
It is, man. That shit is crazy.
into his position as a miner. Now, rather than start that and stop halfway through, I think here's a good place to end the episode. Once again, there was an assortment of small cuts and big cuts, but overall I think the anime's still doing fine. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree, and if you liked the video, then leave a like. Be sure to subscribe to know when the next one comes out too. Until then though, ciao. It's good to see the fan service.
We gotta go back. That was such a good episode too. All right. We're going to get one more. And then we'll probably go save the other two. No, we might just steamroll through these, boy. We going to steamroll through these.
Though it feels like so much has happened since Sung started.
Say hi, YouTube. Say hi, YouTube. This is going to go up on the channel. Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 5. Cut content. Sung Jinwoo's Miracle. The raid destined to fail.
Though it feels like so much has happened since Sung started working as miner, this last episode was actually the most faithful. Only 4 chapters were covered from the manhwa, and a solid amount of time was spent focusing on the B team here. Like, it's not often a character other than Sung gets to shine in the spotlight, but in this battle with the High Orcs, it seems like everyone did. What then did the anime leave out? Well, there's the whole reason he even signed up to do this work, the significance of permits making these gates properties of the Hunters Guild, then a bunch of smaller details like Cha's curiosity and Sung's full involvement here.
Curiosity is the mildest term or the mildest word you could have used here. Obsession would have been the best word for you to use. That woman was obsessed. She was so obsessed to the point, hey, they ain't even talk about it yet. But she was so obsessed by his smell and just his aura that it was keeping her up at night. That's how bad that was.
Here. Let's get started. Episode 17. This is what we're trained to do. Covering chapters 67 to 71 from the manhwa and chapters 82 to 88 from the novel. To start things at the beginning of Sung's mining stint, if you're wondering why manual labor is used instead of heavy machinery, it all comes down to the fact modern technology doesn't work here. Anything running on electricity ceases to operate, so instead workers are given magic-infused items like this pickaxe. Now, there was a small interaction cut between the foreman and the guild.
I never thought about that. But how does this work? How does he have a light on his head if electricity doesn't work? Is it charged by magic? I guess, yeah, magic, you can do anything at this point. But then you can use magic to run the machines. I guess it's just anime, it's anime. This is the way the world works. But you could just use magic to power, like there's electricity magic. You can use electric magic to power machines.
Administrator, involving the foreman complaining that the raid team was taking too long. This was something the admin could only apologize for, since in every guild, all other teams were at the mercy of the raid team. Reason being that where miners were very easy to replace,
It's his aura, that's true.
Members weren't.
He pumps his aura into that little that light.
Would always do their best to accommodate the raid team. Their moods were something every part of the guild needed to be aware of. It was when the strike squad finally did return that, aside from Choi, Sung couldn't distinguish anyone as particularly powerful. Their difference in power was so stark that it made him think perhaps they were the weak ones. This obviously wasn't true though, since someone like Choi wouldn't raid with someone who was weak. No, all this was a matter of perspective. Sung's leveling had made him stronger, and he was now at a point where he was powerful enough to consider the #1 strike squad in the country weak. It was an observation Sung himself couldn't believe.
Damn. That's
when
crazy.
Shaw had come out next, you'd be surprised to know this was actually the first time Sung would lay eyes on her. As a hunter who tended to stay far away from the spotlight, not many clear photos existed of her. So here would be the first time Sung would get a good look at her. Now, the reason she didn't investigate further into the powerful aura she sensed was mainly because doing so would have required strengthening the foul odor she picked up. That was a sensation she preferred not to indulge in, resulting in her disregarding the aura as nothing. It was once Sung finally got into the gate himself that every part of its conquest would be imprinted into his brain. It was, after all, the whole reason he came out here. He wanted to see how a high-level guild went about completing a high-ranked dungeon. So, first was the raid.
Hand in the pocket. They love doing the hand in the pocket. Look at that. Jin Woo had decimated those goblins with a hand in the pocket, and he doing the same thing. It's like they're watching, film from each other. Like they just sitting there learning off each other.
Team wiping out all monsters minus the boss. Next was the retrieval team dragging out all the monster remains. After that was the mining team to extract all minerals and resources, then finally the raid team again to kill the boss and close the gate. This was the 4-stage process that allowed guilds to maximize the amount of profits they could make. Mana stones and magic crystals were always nice, but where the real money was at was with the monster corpses. That was the difference between a high-ranked dungeon and a low-ranked one. Everything in the high-ranked one was worth something. Whether it be bones or flesh, there wasn't a single part of a high-ranked monster which couldn't be sold for tons of money. So it was as Sung contemplated how he would do this himself that he would come to realize his shadows could do all of it just fine. He could divide them into 3 separate groups, then have one hunt, another retrieve, and another mine. I mean, his shadows were far stronger than any of the workers, so it wouldn't make sense to really hire any. This led Sung to the conclusion he could conquer a high-ranked dungeon all by himself, making the whole job as a miner worth it. He had acquired the valuable information he was hoping to. Sung would then ask questions as to why no one was nervous about the boss, to which the foreman would cite how, until a dungeon break, the boss almost always stayed inside its boss room. This was nothing more than a commonly accepted belief, but in the 3 years the foreman had been working, the boss had never escaped on him once. If it did, then everyone in the dungeon would die for sure.
Okay, so it is a possibility that it can happen. Like, that's why I was so confused about the Red Gate incident. Because it was like, how was the boss, the S-rank boss, just roaming around, torturing everybody like that? Because I guess the boss just didn't feel the need to leave.
So, Sung could only think how lucky it was to live in such ignorance, since if he could only sense what it was he was sensing, his whole body would be trembling from the boss's immense presence. only those who've experienced a boss could truly understand how terrifying they are. Now, this next part isn't really all that important, but if you're wondering how it is Sung became so good at mining, it's because he analyzed the way one of the veterans did it. He slowed down time to perceive their movements as best he could, then observed everything from their posture, breathing patterns, and muscle activation. He would then copy what he saw to a T and even refine it where his abilities would allow him to.
This man used the Sharingan. Is that what they just said?
In only a few moments, he'd become a mirror image of the veteran he was copying. It was at lunch that Sung initially wasn't planning on doing anything, but like an addict on drugs, he couldn't help but at least see the boss. It was a giant humanoid staring menacingly in the background. A massive chunk of levels Sung salivated at the sight of. Cha stepping in reminded Sung of the grave mistake he was about to make, since to steal a guild's loot was one of the worst things any hunter could do. Remember, these gates aren't just dungeons.
They cut that out. They didn't put that in the anime. He actually stared down the boss. He actually stared down the boss. And she came out and told him, like, hey, get out. Nah. And the boss let him leave? That's crazy.
To be cleared, but are also massive financial investments too. Legally, this wasn't Sung's property, and to kill the boss would deny the Hunters Guild a large portion of what was rightfully theirs. The financial losses would be immense for them. Cha's presence also went to highlight the difference between hunters and laborers, because laborers never got to see just how dangerous monsters could be. It's because Cha and Sung did, though, that only Sung could truly appreciate what it was she was doing for them. What I mean is that if the boss did somehow break free, she wouldn't be the one in danger. No, the workers were the ones fully at risk here. How then can they relax and have a laugh while doing such work? Well, that was only possible because of Cha. Not only did she make sure they didn't come close to the boss, she also made sure they couldn't even detect its mana waves. So all this was her showing concern for complete strangers. She was sacrificing rest she very much deserved, and that left the impression that she was pretty amazing. To explain more about Cha's smell now, it's something the novel describes as a special constitution, a specialized sense that hunters gain when awakening. Choi exhibited it when being able to hear the commotion back here, and even Sung had his hearing enhanced when he first awakened. So a special constitution wasn't as rare as you might think it was for hunters. Cha's case is a bit more of a peculiar one though, since while she never did find a reason for hunters smelling, a doctor did hypothesize that the higher their rank, the worse their smell was. This could explain why Sung's was tolerable, but it didn't explain why his was pleasant. It was a train of thought that led her to think maybe this could be the person to unravel the mystery behind the special constitution tormenting her.
This man got that Duke Dennis cologne on. He wearing Initio.
In a world where every person smells so bad you want
Boy.
it was only natural she'd want to seek out the exception. So it was that same night that Cha began to worry she might never be able to see Sung again, up until she remembered he was part of the mining team. Since he was likely to be at the A-rank raid tomorrow, she figured it shouldn't be weird to just drop in and check up on him. She was the guild's vice chairman after all. So that was a thought that left her more relaxed than usual. Switching back to Sung, his unique smell had left him thinking more about what it meant to be a player again. As the only one receiving special benefits from the system, he started to think more carefully about his unique status and overall identity. It was a thought he didn't spend too much time on though, since with little new information, he knew he wasn't gonna figure anything out now anyway. It was just a matter of being cognizant of who he was. When Sung went to go talk to the foreman next, their discussion would reveal just how significant back-to-back A-rank gates were. This wasn't something that happened often, and even if it did, the association wasn't the type to hand out both permits to the same buyer. So when 2 A-rank gates showed up in the Hunter Guild's territory, Choi went straight to the association to plead his case. It's actually why he was there when Sung was getting reassessed. He was convincing Chairman Go to give his
Egoed him.
securing an
Like
opportunity
crazy.
no guild had ever had before. This certainly increased the risk of failure, but it was that prospect which made Sung all the more interested. Because there was a chance the raid could fail, Sung felt the potential for action was worth it. Sure, he'd already gained the valuable information he wanted, but with nothing else to do, this was at least something. he was actually quite excited by the potential of what could be, since while he wasn't wishing for Strike Team B to make a mistake, he also wouldn't be upset if they did. Of course, Sung didn't think it was very likely though, since the association didn't just hand out permits to anyone. There was a reason high-ranked gates had a higher success rate than low-ranked ones.
And nobody batted an eye that an E rank hunter was able to carry 15 tons worth of gear for everybody. You know what I'm saying? He had like spare staves in there, extra armor for the tank, extra swords for the DPSs and gauntlets and stuff. Like, they're like, they ain't none of them bat an eye and be like, that backpack is like pretty heavy and you were walking like there's nothing there.
Either way, whatever happens, the end result was best for someone. A successful raid meant good news for everyone, while a failed raid meant a high-rank monster farm all for himself. The latter was definitely a long shot, but once again, the potential for it was the core reason behind him showing up again. Now, there was actually a decently sized cutscene involving Jinho and his cousin, but this is one of the few that I think the anime will get to next episode. It just seems like too big of a scene to leave out, and it's one that can be placed into the narrative later. Just know if they don't cover it, then I'll be sure to come back to it. Moving on to the day of, while this initial greeting wasn't cut content, it was a scene I'm happy they included. For a character whose increased power makes it harder for him to associate with people, to remember who he was before it really helps to humanize him. It separates the part of him that's obsessed with leveling,
It's so good.
and reminds us he is still a human with emotions. I mean, the whole greeting was so heartwarming that even Sung felt he could get used to it.
But
Ki-hoon came to recruit someone to...
let's not forget the magical beasts and the S rank bosses was saying that he wasn't human. They keep saying it. They wouldn't keep saying it if it didn't actually mean something. That's like the third time, second or third time we heard them say he's not human.
to be their porter next. The reason the hauling team couldn't spare anyone on their end was because the mining team finishing early yesterday forced them to have to work overtime. I don't know if it was out of a mindset of keeping up, but all the haulers had to skip dinner last night, so today they had no labor to spare. Naturally, no one wanted to risk their lives either, and that alone risked the success of the raid itself. With the search for a porter potentially going into the afternoon, there was a chance that the entire day could be lost. That's when Ki-hoon would notice Sung staring him down, clearly analyzing him and his unique physique as a tanker. Though their eye contact was brief, it was only after Sung had finished that Ki-hoon realized his entire body froze up. Sung's gaze had caused him to forget to even breathe. Of course, Ki-hoon didn't realize this himself, so he instead chalked it up to nerves. It's an intense scene that would have been cool to see in the anime.
Why aren't they putting this in, dude? Are you kidding me? That would have been like another aura farm for Junwoo. Like the fact that this A ranker lost his breath, like Junwoo took his breath away, and they didn't think that was enough aura farming to throw in, or they're trying to dial the aura farm back. Got it. They're trying to dial it back a little bit.
Another interaction left out between them here was the way Ki-hoon analyzed Sung himself. Though little magical energy could be sensed coming from him, Sung's aura indicated he wasn't who he said he was. The way it was fully under control and so very sharp made it clear Sung wasn't the E rank he claimed to be. Of course, the foreman had no reason to lie, so Ki-hoon just figured something else was up. Besides, the rank of the porter didn't even matter anyway. If the porter was getting attacked, then the raid was a failure to begin with. Everyone would have been destined to die regardless of his rank. It's a conclusion that stems from an interesting saying the healer girl mentions in the manhwa. If the mages get attacked, it's the tank's fault. If the healers get attacked, it's the strike squad's fault. And if the porter gets attacked, it's the guild's fault. What this means is that unless there's an extremely serious mix-up, Sung should be completely safe. If he did somehow become the target of an attack, then that would be a problem stemming from the source. It would mean his entire strike squad was eliminated, and that would mean this was a gate they weren't qualified to handle. It's something that should never happen given the gate's ranking system. Now, the full strike squad was 11 A ranks and 6 B ranks, so there was a lot more hunters than we saw in the anime.
11 A
Feel
ranks.
a lot more calm, since even if they did
Damn.
step foot into a red gate, the
That's
hunters alongside
insane.
him were the ones he'd want to be stuck in a red gate with. It had led him to the decision not to sweat the small stuff, since he was, after all, here for fun. he felt zero need to be alert 24/7 when amongst some of the best hunters in the country. It was once inside that, in addition to the conversation the healer girl was making already, she would also offer to help Sung carry stuff. Sung would hand her just one of the bottles, and the weight alone was enough to almost topple her over.
See that? So you see what I'm talking about? He gave her one bottle, and that shit was like 100 pounds or something. This man's got everybody's gear in that backpack. That pack weighs 2,000 pounds. Not exaggerating.
It was a good laugh that made Sung reminisce on when last he was able to enjoy himself in the dungeon. The jackals would then reveal the presence of intelligent beasts awaiting beyond, but not before getting the raid group to lower their guard a bit. They were so thrown off by this low-ranking monster that each and every one of them forgot the most basic rules of not raising their voice. They had eased up so much that they were now talking like they weren't even in a dungeon. It's when the High Orcs showed up after this that not much really needs to be mentioned. The anime portrayed this far better than I could have ever imagined, and even gave us a little nod to SAO with this one. The healer girl did tell Sung to stay hidden, and that was a comment which genuinely went to piss him off a bit. I guess it was a case of her not knowing who she was talking to. The healer girl then has what I
It bruises ego a bit. You can say it.
think is the best moment of the entire episode, but the way it goes down in the novels is actually with her hugging and shielding her patient. Both have her accept her fate courageously, so I think it's that depiction of her understanding what she signed up for that really went to appeal to me. Now, Sung was initially waiting for the raid to fail completely, but after realizing failure meant a significant loss of life, that's when he decided to step in preemptively. He would smile as he danced around orc after orc, taking out the ones that wouldn't be noticed.
Look
His
at him.
stealth granted him a bit of relief too, since if anyone saw the smile he had on his face right now, they would for sure think he was at the very least crazy.
He is crazy, bro. He is crazy. There's no going around about that. He's crazy.
His intensity only doubled when he received a level up, since that revealed supporting was a viable way of gaining experience too. It seemed assisting in killing the orcs netted him XP as well. He could have gained more levels if he was able to kill them all, but Sung decided to respect the gate was theirs and not his. It was, after all, purchased for quite a large sum of money. In the end, the strike squad couldn't believe what they had accomplished, leading to a loud celebration Sung didn't really understand. What he didn't realize, though, was that when committing to a high-rank gate such as this, the hunters took into consideration not only the gate's ranking, but also the most minute details regarding how much magic energy was being emitted from it. They did this so they could know with a certain level of confidence what to expect. So, when the most superior version of High Orcs showed up in a pack of 20, that was far beyond what they had calculated. All of them were expecting to face at least 1 or 2 casualties. The fact they didn't was nothing short of a miracle, and it's that miracle which Sung remains completely oblivious to. He may have been the cause of that miracle, but the true extent of his help would remain completely lost to him. When the healer girl stepped up to describe what she saw after this, she was actually met with disbelief and borderline ridicule. Reason being that her description of the events were full-on outlandish. An orc ripping off its own head then killing another with said head was hardly something anyone would just believe. It was as she did that Sung could only chuckle, then when she came up to ask him about it personally, it took a lot of effort to deny it without snickering right in front of her. It seems Sung in the novel goes a bit hard with the disrespect towards this healer girl. I mean, even in the manhwa he's seen to make light of her dramatic action here. I actually preferred the way the anime handled this though, since while this whole endeavor may not have been serious for Sung, it truly was life or death for the rest of them. To them, they fully believed they were making the ultimate sacrifice. A serious sentiment well contrasted with Sung's flashback to the double dungeon.
Yeah, he was like dehumanized right there. I get he's still a human, but he was literally showing no humanity from what the mama was saying. Like the dude, he didn't care about the fucking what was it? Her will. He felt disrespected when she told him to hide. Whenever he's the one that wants to go in as a E rank pack mule. Come on, bro. Why your ego getting bruised whenever you're deciding all of your actions? What?
In any case, I would be lying if I said the fact they couldn't leave didn't make Sung happy. Even though Ki-hoon made the decision to retreat, Sung really wanted to stay and continue fighting. So when 50 more orcs showed up to challenge them, Sung once again started to salivate at the amount of experience he was about to get. Before he knew it, he had already instinctively summoned his dagger behind his back. Now wasn't the right time to attack, but this was definitely the moment he'd been waiting for. Even his shadows could be sensed yearning for bloodshed. The rest was then pretty much as we saw, bringing us to that perfect sequence introducing the boss room. I don't know about you, but the way they panned us in while blaring Hiroyuki's music really set the tone for the grand fight waiting ahead of us. It was this combined with those amazing fight sequences from earlier that solidified episode 5 as the best of season 2 so far. But yeah, that's everything from episode 17. Now, this was really hard for me to make. If I sounded a bit weird, it's because I've been pretty sick lately, so that's why this video ended up taking so long. Yeah, I'll be back to my regular schedule probably next week, but I really just need to get some rest right now, so I'm going to bed. Bye.
Good video. Good fucking video. Alright. Okay. Not really anything like too new or anything that was really like cut from that anime there, aside from the introduction between the A rank and Jinwoo when they were outside, right? That was like the only one thing that they really didn't put in there. Hold on. Let me see. Real quick. All right. We just chilling. Real quick. Got to reply to some of these messages. Need to turn this fucking vibrate off. Okay. Am I dumb? Why can't you like click further? Okay. Bro, I'm telling you, Jinwoo has the most aura. Out of who? Out of everybody in the show, yeah. Yo, why is it so hard? How do I turn? One second. This is ridiculous. They just hide this shit, dude. I just did that. Hold on. Setting sounds haptics. sounds. Under vibrate section, toggle off. Where? That isn't a setting. Enable do not disturb or focus mode. Okay. It's gotta be do not disturb. You know what, dude? Like, I was never planning on being a do not disturb ass nigga, cause it's like, why the fuck do you need to have it on do not disturb? Like, you got a bunch of people hitting you up. Unless you're in a meeting, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying not to have my phone on do not disturb because whenever it vibrates, I'm pretty sure you could fucking hear it through the damn shit. Okay. Okay. All right. Settings, notifications. Set sounds to none. That's not a thing either. Apple is so stupid. See, now that's just gonna fuck with me. All right. Okay. kind of want to play Elden Ring, bro. Kind of want to play some Elden Ring. All right, we're going to go ahead and probably knock out another episode. Or we take a break real quick. Let's see. We're going to take a break. All right. So we done seen episode 5 already. And we got 6 and 7. Has Annie News done 6 and 7? Let me see. Annie News has done 6 and 7. We gotta watch 6. We gotta watch 6. Okay, I think we're gonna watch 6, leave 7, so that we have 7, and then the next time he makes... Oh. Whistling Diesel's got another video out. To be honest, he probably wouldn't even like anybody reacting to his shit. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. Let's see. Oh. Okay. No. I definitely won't be watching that. Oh, I wanted to watch Dan, but One Piece. I wanted to watch that too. I really wanted to watch this. Hold up. All this damn hair in the way. I like this. Dude, this looks so good. I saw a little bit. I saw a little clip of this. Blackleg Sanji. Shanks. Dude, this is the best one. This shit look good. I like this. Man, if One Piece made an opening like this should be so clean. That was so good, dude. I got it. As a diehard One Piece fan, I'm sorry if you gonna have to sit here and then watch it again. Whoever drew this looks amazing. The use of the eyes too. This shit is clean. Bro, this should just make you want to. Best soundtrack. Yo, Dan got the best soundtrack, I think, of this year and last year. Just make you want to throw shit. This should be clean. Oh, I didn't notice they put the seraphim in there. I didn't even notice that. That's so good, bro. Oh wait. Yeah, this is definitely like one of the best ones I've seen. It does feel like an actual opening. Hopefully one day, yeah. If I can't myself become an editor like this good, dude. Oh, they got a Hunter x Hunter one? No way. Gotta watch it. Gotta watch it. Oh, they threw in the New World. Oh, that was tight. Janjak. What was it called again? These little rock, paper, scissors? Jinjakin. The Tower. The Ant Arc. The Auction. When he did the game. Kite. I can't remember her name. His dad. Leader of the Spiders. Ahsoka. Killua's brother. The Association. They got them all in here. Oh, dude, that's so good. People are creative. Is it by the same person? Oh, he drew all that out. Wow. Wow. People creative as fuck. Yeah, I am so glad that Hunter x Hunter is still alive and well. Yeah, it did have mad spoilers, but so did the One Piece one. If you aren't caught up on One Piece, yeah, you got hit by some mad spoilers. Oops. What else we got? What the hell? Is there anything we're missing too? I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Witch Watch official trailer 2 Netflix. Oh, My Hero Vigilantes. I have not seen that. Let's look at that. They were telling me, my chat was telling me to watch this earlier, like a week ago. I never watched it, so.
オールマイトやっぱ生で見るとすごいな
はい回り高一バイトに明け暮れる普通の大学生
Do I need captions on this motherfucker? It's in Japanese. Oh no. We're cooked.
オールマイトやっぱ生で見るとすごいな
I can't read that.
はい回り高一バイトに明け暮れる普通の大学生個性滑走移動系の個性か
でもあんま早くねえな
なんかキモい。
ほっといて
人間は自分が見上げてるものに憧れる人生って不公平だよね
俺の仕事を手伝い悪党を殴るとスカッとするぞ
Knuckles, pretty much.
もっとヤバいのが来ただった
なんでそんなことに付き合ってんの？
あんためちゃめちゃ立ち悪いな個人による死刑行為は犯罪だよ強力な個性にプロしか
今さらプロになんかなれっこない
そんなものは真の正義には全く関係ない
ヒーローになりたいから
なすべきことを前にした時行動を起こせるか否か
ほんの一瞬でいい俺だって飛びたいんだ
無認可のイリーガルヒーロービジランテというわけか
I'm going off first impression here, right? His ability looks like shit. His ability looks like ass. And I'm expecting him to become like a lot faster, definitely become more useful at it. Or if this is like a sidekick type of spin on My Hero, but that was ass. I'm glad they're not showing a whole lot in the trailer and spoiling everything, but I'm just being 100% honest with you. His power is ass from what I'm seeing. Like, that's probably the worst ability that I've ever seen in My Hero. I'm just saying. I'm ready for it, but that looked like ass. Maybe it's something like super important. Maybe he's probably just a character that sees from the outside in. I don't know, but it just looks like booty butt cheeks. His power looks like booty butt cheeks. All right. All right, let's see. Oh wait, is there like a One Piece trailer too? This was a month ago. See, and this is why I can't see how people have not gotten into One Piece. It's like, if you don't care about the real world, then you're not real to me. because One Piece takes things from the real world and throws it into the anime. I want to say more than most anime that is out there. You know? That's why One Piece is so good, is because it's actually relatable. Reality check, One Piece is relatable. Reality check. It's crazy. Literally the government right here, the heads of the government are sitting here talking about niggas is right here. Think of human lives as nothing more than insects. Come on now. That is our government. That is literally what our government says about us. And then people are like, yeah, ants. I don't like ants either. You know, like everything just goes right over their head. People do not look at Luffy as a crazy man now. Oh, he still is crazy with all the actions that he took to become a Yonko. But if you never watched One Piece, a Yonko is an emperor, and an emperor is like an S rank hunter in solo leveling terms. And S rank hunters would be admirals in the Navy, and not all admirals. Yeah, you will say all admirals. We can say all admirals are an S rank, but clearly some S ranks are a lot higher than others, like Junwoo. So we got S rank hunters, which would be, you know, like the Navy admirals and emperors of the sea. Like those kids are. I want to see how overpowered is the main character of Vigilantes is going to be too. So, all right, what else we got? All right, we're gonna get into one more episode of skip content. We're gonna do episode 6. Episode 6 skip content.
No secret.
So we watched 4. We watched episode 4 and episode 5 today. So we're gonna get into 6, and I think we're gonna call it at that. Okay. I need to I want to play some games, but not sure how internet's going to hold up. Oh, I should dual stream on Twitch. I need to get my stuff fixed and situated though. Hold up. All right. All this hair out the way real quick. God damn. Fuck. I'm probably gonna, maybe in a week or so re-download Marvel Rivals. I just really had to take a break from it because it tilted the fuck out of me. I couldn't. It was so stupid. So I still watch some videos here and there on like what characters to try. Yeah. To be honest, like I really want to try like Spider-Man and just train with Spider-Man. Like even off stream, I'll probably like train with Spider-Man or something. I like the fact that he is the hardest character to use, and I did play around with his character in training, but it's just the fact that he's a 5-star, and yeah, you know, like people are gonna sit there and tell you, "Oh, don't even try it. It's hard. It's way too hard." Yeah, okay, yeah, it's hard. I get it. I want to try it. You know, it's like they got so many characters in the game. I feel like, of course, if you use the easiest character, then that's gonna be a character that everybody likes to lock in all the time. So why not pick a character that no one really uses, get really good at it? That way it's always available for you unless somebody bans it, you know what I'm saying? So that's just my thought process, you know, it's like do what nobody else is doing or what people don't like to do. So, but yeah. I don't know, even like Fortnite, what's it called? No build. Cuz I'm not with the whole build on Fortnite. It's just way too much. That Fortnite build is way too cracked out. All right. We got Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 6 of Cut Content. Sun Jin-woo versus Kargalgan. Kargalgan. A Message of Fear.
It's no secret that Sung in the novel is a lot more aggressive. He takes things a bit more personally and really likes to flex when the opportunity comes up for him. This was no different during his fight with Tusk, and it creates for quite the entertaining bit of cut content. So, if you want to know the whole separate mission Sung was fighting for here, stick around as it's some of the most petty stuff we've seen from him yet. There was also plenty more to the fight surrounding it. Let's get started. Episode 18, Don't Look Down on My Guys, covering chapters 72 to 76 from the manhwa and chapters 89 to 92 from the web novel. It looks like Jinho's cousin won't be getting her debut since that extra scene I mentioned could come out this episode didn't actually happen this episode.
He said this was going to be a big chunk of what the manhwa had led up to. Solo Leveling, or whoever's in charge, whoever's the director, stop cutting out big pieces that people are expecting and wanting to see. Why are you cutting out stuff that people need to know? That he literally just said that this is something that's supposed to benefit everybody leading up to later events. Why are you cutting it out?
So, to quickly give you a rundown of what that was, it was essentially Jinho venting that he hadn't seen Sung in a week. Soo-yeon is the person Jinho is closest to, so it's not rare for him to have personal conversations with her like this. He was pretty much crying over the fact Sung had been ignoring him. Sung was just climbing the tower dungeon, but that wasn't news Jinho was aware of. Now, this scene wasn't just Jinho expressing his grievances, but was also a means to introduce him. The famous actor now turned hunter Lee Min-sung. He was getting lots of coverage for his upcoming evaluation. Soo-yeon, being a celebrity hunter herself though, already knew this was nothing more than for show. As it turns out, Lee's evaluation was already completed. Why then the big press conference? Well, that's because that's who he was. He was a massive attention seeker who would do anything to put himself into the spotlight. A person whose ego Soo-yeon wasn't very fond of. That's pretty much it for that, so
I'm glad he got checked though.
we saw in the anime, let's start with when Cha arrives here. There were a few more scenes of her acting all anxious while looking for Sung. At first, she didn't really want anyone knowing why she was here, so for a solid amount of time she kinda just hung out around the back. She would scout the miners and try to see if she could find Sung herself. It was when Sung didn't show up though that's when she decided she would wait for him. 1 minute would turn to 3, then 5 would turn to 15, eventually leading Cha to get dejected and leave. Such a feeling only lasted for a short couple of steps though, since before she could even leave the site, Cha would quickly turn around and wait some more. It was only after all that waiting that Cha would finally ask about Sung. This is where Cha would come to the conclusion Sung was far too suspicious, since even if she set aside the fact he magically found the boss room while getting lost, it's the fact he did get lost that doesn't make sense to her. I mean, Sung is a 4-year veteran after all. His actions here just didn't line up with someone who should have all that experience under his belt. That's why she felt the need to go in after him.
I don't know if it's that deep. I think it's more the fact is like she's wondering why he smelled good. And she's like, every hunter stinks. But even if you're an E rank, you still stink. But he didn't stink. He smelled like cologne. He ain't smell like no bad, stinky dude. She was like, you the only one that smells good. Why? I need to know why.
She needed to know what it was Sung wanted with the Hunters Guild. To go in without a weapon was unimaginable though, and it was a lot more cute in the manhwa when Cha had to double back and take the pickaxe. This brings us now to inside the dungeon where the full unrestrained aura of Tusk would be revealed to them. The manhwa exhibits this with panels of them dying, likely to highlight how easy it would be for Tusk to just kill them here. It still wasn't enough to break Ki-hoon's spirit though, as the moment he saw Tusk distracted by Sung, that's when Ki-hoon would pounce, thinking it was a good opportunity to strike. For a second, he actually believed it worked too, since his first few steps were met by zero reaction whatsoever. Like, with none of Tusk's guards even making a move to intercept him, Ki-hoon truly felt like he lucked out here. In actuality, Tusk was simply accepting Ki-hoon as the first volunteer, leading to the beatdown we saw in the anime. The part of it we didn't see though was the resilience of Ki-hoon to keep fighting through all of it. You see, even after getting tossed up and down 5 times over, Ki-hoon still hadn't let go of his sword yet.
Bro. Dude. Jinwoo is so fucking bad for this, dude. He got slammed like 4 or 5 times before he jumped in to save him. Bro, he could have caught him after the first slam, bro. I get it. You want to show, like, I saved you. But, bro, he like, broke all his ribs, his back, his arm was twisted sideways. I'm pretty sure you think it's cool, yeah, like, he held onto his sword. Nah, bro, I think his fucking hand fused to his sword from being smashed into the ground. So it just his armor from his gauntlets and his sword was just one piece. And he's like, I don't want the sword no more, dog. He couldn't even drop the sword. He got slammed so hard. Dude was getting slammed into the ground and the ceiling, was he not? And then Junwoo just gonna swoop out of nowhere and be like, I got you, bro. Like, nigga, you could have got me 3 slams ago.
He kept holding on because he refused to give up. Despite being up against such overwhelming power, Ki-hoon still wanted to fight anyway. So it was after getting tossed
Look at him.
more times after that's when Sung would step in to save him. He would then ask the
Diabolical.
he'd been patiently waiting for, all while mimicking Tusk's attack on Tusk's own guard. The thing about Sung's attack though is that the way he did it was far more aggressive than the way Tusk did it. He would bounce the guard up and down like he was a basketball, having him hit the floor and ceiling way harder and faster than how Ki-hoon got it. This made accepting Sung's request a whole lot easier because it was at this moment that Ki-hoon was angry. He was angry at himself for being toyed with and angry at the monsters for toying with him. So it didn't matter who it was that was asking him. If they could put a stop to what him and his strike squad was going through, Ki-hoon was happy to accept help from anyone. It was the exact vulnerable mindset that Sung was waiting for. Now, I don't know if it was the way Tusk treated Ki-hoon or it was his comments calling Sung's abilities tricks, but the moment Sung got permission to attack, he became so much colder in his approach to everything. Before, he never really cared about the monsters he killed, but this was the first time he wanted to slice one up badly. In fact, Sung was so enraged by what Tusk had done that he decided he was gonna save Tusk for last. Since he was clearly capable of understanding enjoyment, Sung wanted to see if he could make him feel fear as well. This was the new objective under which Sung was fighting for now.
Oh. He wanted to see if he could put some fear into this man. That's a good probe.
To that though, Wu showing up here was out of direct orders from the chairman. Normally, he would have tried to investigate Sung discreetly, but an A rank trying to remain undiscovered against an S rank was straight up impossible. That being the case, Wu deemed it best to just show up in the open. He would try to justify the
like the Men in Black
and make it seem like it wasn't weird for him to be checking up on him. Naturally, he didn't want to come off as strange either, so a lot of mental gymnastics were done to make it seem like it wasn't. It's a funny series of excuses that share the same anxiety as Cha. they're both really trying their best not to creep Sung out. Of course, the mere presence of the monitoring division was enough to make any hunter nervous, since if they were here, then that usually meant a hunter was in trouble. With their job being to arrest Awakened that normal laws couldn't do anything about, the fact they were here now implied it could be to reform or eliminate someone. Such was the assumed work of the monitoring division. It was as soon as Wu got to the gate that he immediately knew the listed reading was wrong. He could feel Tusk's unrestrained power even outside the gate. This wasn't enough to warrant very much concern though, since with 2 S ranks already on the inside, Wu figured they should have it handled. That was until he felt another aura. As soon as both him and his less mana-perceptive associates felt powers so indescribably raw, that's when they—
Did it break his glasses? Junwoo's Monarch aura broke this man's glasses? That's crazy.
Inside might be in trouble. So, as hunters who were part of the monitoring division, it was now their job to go in and inform the current raid team exactly what they were dealing with. Typically, they did only manage hunters and watch them, but another part of their responsibilities was to aid hunters in their times of need too. The younger association hunters were certainly scared to do so, but despite not having to, they decided to follow Wu anyway.
Damn, bro.
For Cha, who was already quite deep in the dungeon herself,
You read the manhwa
she
too?
was quite perceptive when it came to figuring out what had happened here. At first, she thought she simply underestimated her strike team, up until she noticed something odd. Almost all the orcs were injured by short, sharp weapons. None were fatally injured by them, but they were hindered enough to limit their movements. They were clues that made it clear the strike team was celebrating victory over opponents someone else had prepped for them. She could also tell they were taken care of all by one single hunter. Aside from the 2 in this instance here, Cha could easily tell one person drove every orc to the brink of death. How then was such a feat possible? Well, that was the part she couldn't figure out yet. You see, even with all her speed and power, Cha knew that even she would struggle to fight 20 high orcs solo. Combine this with the fact no one on Ki-hoon's team even used daggers, and that made the only reasonable explanation Sung. Though she couldn't be certain for sure, there were more than a couple clues indicating it probably was him. It was then that magic tremors could be sensed from deep inside the dungeon, exhibiting power unlike anything Cha had ever sensed before. If that was power that belonged to the boss, then Cha knew it was only a matter of time before Ki-hoon and his team were dead. The thing about these tremors, though, is that none of it was actually from Tusk. There was that one portion of aura when he took his mask off, but the energy Cha felt here and Wu felt here, all of it came from Sung. It was the moment he had unleashed his shadows, thus the reason it felt so incredibly different to them. The novel describes it as a wave of magic incomparably greater to that of Tusk's, so I believe that was the true terrifying power Wu and Cha felt earlier. For the mages present who were right next to it, such power
They were fucked up. Look at them.
to be magic. They weren't even sure that what they were feeling was magical energy anymore. All of it just felt so incredibly different to them. So, it was as all that magical energy filled the room that
My
every
boy
hunter found it
Igris.
extremely difficult to breathe. They could only imagine the terror they would feel if they had to face such an aura themselves. Luckily they didn't, but for the high orc warriors who did, these monsters known for their bravery began to back up a bit. Though it was 50 against 150, they were retreating from the dangerous pressure being emitted by Sung and his soldiers. Now, when it came to the massacre itself, if you're wondering what exactly about Sung reminded the others of Cha, it was the way she jumped into battle and swiftly cut down monsters like she was performing some high-tempo dance routine. This had earned her the nickname Dancer, and now Sung was exhibiting movements that exceeded that. So, if Cha was a dancer, then Sung was a typhoon. He was the center of a storm, obliterating absolutely everything in its path. Then, where Iron cut down orcs with pure destruction, Igris did so with the utmost
If she was a dancer, he was a break dancer.
elegance. They were still able to synergize well together, and there was even a scene where Tank and Iron would do a thumbs up to each other. Now, it was when Tusk would cast his hexes.
They didn't put that in either. They should have. That would have been some funny shit. That would have been some funny teamwork shit right there.
That's when he fully believed the fight was over. Reason being that hexes were fundamentally different from regular magic. They couldn't be evaded the same way a spell could. No. The moment they were cast, that was it. Normally one would require purification magic in order to dispel a hex, but what Sung had instead was power greater than the hex itself, the only other means of defending against it. That being the case, Tusk began to think there was another shaman greater than him dispelling his magic. Not once did he think that it was actually just Sung's natural immunity. It was a moment
That's crazy.
that Sung would finally engage Tusk himself, but not enough to fully kill him yet. He actually could have killed Tusk the instant the fight began, but because he wanted to instill fear into his heart before that, Sung decided he would simply play with him. He wanted to make Tusk feel what Ki-hoon and the others felt first. This was a bit harder than Sung initially thought though, because even after killing his orcs and dispelling his hexes, Tusk's eyes still looked alive. It was clear Sung needed to step things up a bit.
Strike more fear.
When he would extract the shadows of the High Orcs, revealing a fate far worse than death for them. Where normally these High Orc warriors would have no problem jumping in against an opponent who was stronger than them, now they were openly retreating. To see their dead comrades turned against them was far too much. It wasn't because the battle was 100 versus 100 now though, but rather the fact something precious was being denied from them. You see, to know that if they died they wouldn't ascend to warrior heaven, well, that was their worst possible nightmare. They were truly afraid of becoming someone else's puppets. This was true for every High Orc present, and it remained true for their leader as well. Where only moments ago he still had fight in his eyes, now there were clear signs of fear. It just wasn't for the same reason as everyone else.
Yep, they weren't even going. There was no Valhalla to them. There was no going to the higher plane, dying as warriors. You about to be this man's army, never being able to rest. Unless he decides to replace you with something stronger, you know what I'm saying?
What I mean is that something about Sung made Tusk recall an existence that could revive the dead into shadows. It was an existence of which there should only be one of, not two. That being the case, Tusk knew this human had to be him. Who is him? Well, that's a question I can only assume relates to this scene in the anime. For Tusk, it was a revelation leading to thoughts far more existential. Like, if Sung truly was the person he thought he was, then why was it that him and the other orcs were here in this dungeon? Nothing made sense when it came to the concepts surrounding their existence. No. Instead, any thoughts of the subject were left completely empty.
Dude, I wish they would have, elaborated more on that, too. Like, whenever the High Orcs are fighting against each other, I wish they showed more fear qualities rather than they're just straight up pawns in the whole fight. You know what I mean? It's like they blast through the action in this show way too fast, and they leave out key parts of the whole story. They leave out backstory. They leave out a lot of that stuff that makes you anchor your feelings to characters and be attached to them a lot more. They need to stop that. But what I did see, I saw some news yesterday that Solo Leveling is going to get the One Piece treatment. So we are going to hopefully get up to 10 years of Solo Leveling content. So they shouldn't feel rushed that they have to keep pumping out episode after episode and then cutting content out. No, leave the manhwa to anime adaptation 1-1 all the way through. Do not skip nothing. Don't take nothing out. Leave it all in there. Animate it. If the manhwa is that good, then people are going to like the manhwa entirely into an anime adaptation without the content being cut out. Don't make the episode, or don't think that you can make the episodes better than the manhwa did. Just stick to the script. Okay? Hopefully if these animators or the higher ups that are making the final decisions on these episodes, if y'all see this episode, or if y'all see this reaction, which you probably won't, but in the case that you do, stop cutting out important content. If it was in the manhwa, put it in the anime. Why are you taking it out? For what? Don't. That's not a good decision. Time? Fuck the time. If If you can't do it, push it further down. Go on a fucking hiatus for a week until you can put it in. Ain't nobody gonna kill you for it. Maybe your bosses, but still, like, have some backbone and give these people pushback. Like, you don't realize that you can probably garner a bigger audience if you stick to the content or the blueprint that is given to you. I already love the series. And then everything that Andy News is saying that has been cut out, I would have loved to see that too.
It was as if his brain had been wiped of all of it. This left only the emotion of fear, which was exactly what Sung had wanted. His plan turned out to be a complete success. It's before the fight would come to an end, though, that an interesting interaction would occur between Sung and Cha first, where in the anime Sung doesn't notice Cha until after everything. The two would actually make eye contact right as she entered. At first, she was thrown aback by the incredible scene in front of her, but that came secondary to helping her strike team. As curious as she was to find out more about Sung Jinu, the safety of her comrades came first. It was a priority that involved jumping into the fight and killing orcs herself.
Bro, and then there was plenty of weapons on the ground, and then she's still using a damn pickaxe. Not like she couldn't use a pickaxe to save people, but they had more options.
It was right as she was about to do so, though, that's when she would make eye contact with Sung. A momentary exchange which would lead her to the realization interference wasn't necessary. In fact, Sung's gaze made it clear it was something she shouldn't do at all. She couldn't understand why.
Wait, you want me to pause the video? Alright, plug it in. Plug it in. I'll wait a little bit. Plug it in. I'll wait. Let me know when you got it plugged in. We gotta wait for our bud here, though. We gonna start it up soon, though. All right, I'm about to start the episode, my dog. Your charger, where's your charger at, bro? You should be good to go. All right, we're gonna start it up in 3, 2, 1. All right. I paused long enough.
That was, but something about his expression made it clear he was in complete and utter control. Sure, his summons probably had him low on mana, and sure 100 high orcs and a boss were still left to be taken care of, but still Cha knew she needed to stick to the sidelines. Instead, the only thing she could wonder was how it was Sung was going to finish this. So, when Cha lowered her stance and resigned herself to the sidelines, that's when Sung could relax knowing things would continue the way he wanted. With all the work he had put in to get to this point, it would have been a real shame for Cha to step in and ruin all that. Like, the man had even waited for Ki-hoon to drop his sword here, also he could be absolutely certain Ki-hoon would answer the question the way he wanted him to. He had suppressed his urge to kill the shaman from the very beginning because
That's
the
wild.
most important thing was getting permission. Sung wanted everything and he went to great lengths to secure it. So, to know Cha
That was so wild.
what he worked so great
That was so
lengths to
wild. You
secure
let that just happen.
So, to know Cha would let him continue with what he worked so hard to earn, well, that was incredibly relieving. He could focus solely on the fight knowing no one was going to interrupt him. It's a pretty big difference from how it goes down in the anime, since despite Sung knowing an S rank is watching him, he still proceeds to fight with his entire army anyway. He even makes a conscious effort to make a show out of it. This, I think, highlights best the core difference between the Sungs of each medium because you can see exactly where their mindsets are at. One's completely focused on business, while the other has room to flex and even play around a bit. Now, though in the anime it was the generals which finished the fight for him, in the novel all it took was a single punch. Tusk would ask if Sung still found things amusing, to which Sung would simply reply yes. It was a cold one-liner which showed Sung never took the fight seriously to begin with. In the end,
Cold.
Sung would gain 2 whole levels, acquire a brand new shadow ranking above Igris and Iron at the Elite Knight level, then
Wait a minute. So as a mage, Tusk is higher than Igris? Oh, hell no. I can't allow that.
acquire a brand new shadow ranking above Igris and Iron at the Elite Knight level, then also be able to store up to 127 shadows now. If you're wondering why Tusk was easier to acquire than Baruka, well, it's implied the success rate of extraction was dependent on the target strength compared to Sung. So, since Baruka was a 3v1 Sung barely won, it makes sense then that his shadow would be harder to extract.
Okay.
Now, it was while Sung was being escorted back that he would actually ask why Wu was doing this. Wu would respond by asking if he was planning to join the Hunters Guild, a question to which he already knew the answer to, but needed to ask anyway since it was the best way to identify the mistakes Sung just made. What I mean is that by exhibiting above S-rank powers in front of employees of the largest and wealthiest guild in the entire country, Sung had just opened himself up to more of the annoyances he hated. His actions contradicted what he said he wanted earlier. This was a point Sung unfortunately couldn't help but agree with, since there was no telling what length the Hunters Guild would go to secure another S-rank hunter. Luckily, the association's interests lined up with Sung, so at the very least, the two could work together to avoid situations like this. It was before leaving that Ki-hoon would run up to thank Sung personally, because from his perspective, he had essentially saved them for nothing. Not only did he request 0 compensation for his heroic efforts, but he also risked revealing his identity, which the association clearly wanted to keep hidden. That being the case, it would have been wrong for Ki-hoon not to thank Sung properly. He's
a good fucking dude, though.
After Sung had killed that one general using the same method he was tortured with. Sung would then get one last dig on the healer girl before leaving, confirming my assumption that he really just doesn't like her for some reason.
From today onward, please refrain from placing your personal articles inside the raid team's luggage. It only serves to increase the volume. He said, "It's making that shit heavier." He's like, "You're making my back hurt with this shit that don't even matter." Yo, why is he being so cold to her, you know?
Cha would
It's funny, but
not getting to say what she wanted, since where she just wanted to ask to talk later, she wasn't even able to get his number. She felt if she asked, then her intentions might be misunderstood a bit. So instead, she decided to say nothing. Sung's conversation with Jinho is something they'll show more of next episode, so that leaves us with this last scene with Choi.
we all know this scene right here. Woo! His ego was bruised.
His face was certainly something when he found out Sung was acting as their porter, then more was said about how Sung is a stronger hunter than him. The way Ki-hoon goes about contextualizing it is by explaining how in raids, roles were divided into attack, defense, and support. It's without all three working together that a team would usually find themselves in danger. It's for that reason that raid teams are usually built the way they are. The weakness of one teammate gets made up for by the strength of another.
Unless you are playing Marvel Rivals.
What then happens when all three roles can be covered by a hunter solo? Well, therein lies the fundamental difference between Sung and Choi. It didn't matter how powerful Choi's magic was, because when a horde of monsters attack him all at once, there would be nothing he could do to defend himself. Such was a scenario Sung could easily take care of, so that's the reason he can be considered stronger than Choi. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you liked what you saw, then leave a like, and if you
Of
want
course
to see
I
more, then
did.
consider subscribing. I'll also be talking about next episode's cut content early on stream on Sunday, so feel free to follow me there for more content. Until next time, though, ciao.
Ciao. Good episode. Good fucking episode. Yo, he's got an armory desk mat. Oh, that's cool. He's got what's it called? Rising of the Shield Hero. I think all of this might be Rising of the Shield. Oh no, there's a pistol in there. This is pretty cool. This is some tight stuff. Okay. Cool. I agree. Your cut solo video, your cut content videos are like being able to watch a second solo leveling episode a week. Actually, love them so much. They really are. Fun fact: Tusk has 4 elite warriors, but Junwoo only raises 3 because the 4th. Yeah. We saw it. Yeah, that's probably gonna be in the next cut content video. But bro, so good. All right. It's almost 4 o'clock. I think that's gonna be it for today. Oh man, I got some editing to do. Still gotta go to the gym. Man. Is that sweat? Am I sweating? No, that's not sweat. Thought that was sweat. But anything else I want to touch up on before I leave off of here? I don't know. So we got the next episode of Solo Leveling coming out Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday around like 12 o'clock. One Piece is supposed to be coming back soon. I think in like a couple months. I want to go ahead and catch up on all the episodes that I need to catch up on. I have read the manhwa up to a certain point. Dang, bro. Holy shit. I was waiting for you for a bit though. Gabby, I was waiting for you. I waited like maybe like 2 to 3 minutes. I had paused it. But yeah, you were gone for like almost 10 minutes, huh? You had to like completely charge your phone or something? My hair is sticking together from the headset. Yeah, no. Like the video's done, my dog. Like you came back a little late, but I paused it like as long as I could. But I did wait for you though. I didn't just move on. All right. Let me see though. Like, is there anything else real quick? There's like one more episode of cut content. I want to save that for the next time he makes cut content. So he'll probably come out with a video maybe like 3 days after the episode airs. So we'll get into that after. Appreciate everybody that popped up in here too and watched a little bit. All right. Okay. But yeah, this year is going to be big for anime because we got Solo Leveling, One Punch Man. I think JJK is coming back this year too, right? One Piece. Dude. I think Vigilantes is coming out too. My Hero Vigilantes this year. Shit is about to get crazy. Shit is about to go down. Also, thinking about trying to pick up a game to play for stream. It seems like AT&T is starting to hold up a little bit better with streaming, and I think whatever updates and changes YouTube has been making. All right, bro. I'll see you later. YouTube was making some really good changes to make sure like streaming on their platform actually like works pretty well. And the fact that you have playback on YouTube is another reason to, subscribe to this channel so you can just scrub through anything that you may have missed and you need to catch up on. Cuz Twitch cannot do that. Yeah, Twitch community, I think it does have a better chat. Not saying that y'all are bad chat. I got the best chat. But what I mean is like the engagement is better on Twitch. So I keep talking about dual streaming as probably being a thing that I'm going to start doing. But I really need to figure out like my OBS and like stream elements so that everything moves smoothly whenever I go over to like Twitch or both. So it might be a fucking crime that I'm not doing it. So I'll figure it out, bro. I will figure it out. So I think next time I go live, I will try Twitch and we'll see what's up. We're going to see what's up. Because over there, I could play music too. And everything be good. All right, y'all. I'm about to head out. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see y'all.